But what I heard from someone that's in the NFL that the NFL put it, told other don't draft him. Do not draft him. We're going to make an example out today that the Buccaneers safety has gotten officially waived from the team. According to reports, this decision to waive Sanders was in connection to an on-field incident in which Sanders would end up striking opposing player. I'm proud of my kids, all of them. And I prepared my kids for any and everything that could possibly happen in life and in sports. That's Eric Dickerson just exposed an ugly truth about Shiloh Sanders getting waived by the Buccaneers. And if what he's saying is true, it explains a lot about why Deion Sanders' sons keep catching hell from the NFL. In case you missed it, within the span of just 1 week, both Shiloh and Shedeur were in headlines for all the wrong reasons. Shiloh was ejected from a preseason game for swinging on another player. And then less than 24 hours later, the Bucs waived him. Meanwhile, Shedeur got beat down in a preseason game, sacked 5 times in basically one half, benched, and now on top of all that. The media is already pushing the narrative that Shedeur doesn't even deserve to be on the team. 3 days until roster cutdowns. How do you feel about that? Do you feel like you belong here on this team? Obviously, now to the casual fan, that just looks like 2 young players struggling to adjust to the league. But Eric Dickerson is saying something way bigger is going on behind the scenes. According to him, the league wanted this. He claims that the NFL is deliberately blackballing the Sanders family because they don't like the way Coach Prime moves, talks, and disrupts the system. And if you've been following football long enough, you already know that this fits a pattern. We've seen the league shut out players who don't fall in line. We've seen the inmates running the prison comments. We've seen the plantation vibes. In a discussion about player protests during the national anthem, Houston Texans owner Bob McNair said, quote, "We can't have the inmates running the prison." Excuse me. So let's break down what happened with Shiloh. What's going on with Shedeur? What exactly Dickerson said? And how this all ties into the bigger, uglier truth about the NFL. All right, so let's start with Shiloh. This man was 24 hours away from playing his first regular season snap in the NFL, finally getting that shot every player dreams about, and he blows up in a preseason game. Shiloh got into it with Bills tight end, Zach Davidson, and Zach was seen grabbing Shiloh's face mask after the whistle. This could have easily been a penalty, or the ref could have stepped in. But that's not what happened. Instead, Shiloh threw a punch and instantly Zach turned on the victim mode. Now, fights like these aren't new. We've all seen players scrap in preseason, in practice, even in joint workouts. And usually, it's a fine or maybe a short suspension and everybody moves on. But Shiloh received different treatment. And less than 24 hours later, he was waived by the Tampa Bay Bucs. And Tampa Bay coach Todd Bias didn't even try to defend Shiloh. He addressed the incident after Tampa Bay's 23-19 loss. And all he had to say was that what Shiloh did was inexcusable. Meanwhile, he made no mention of Zach Davidson starting the altercation. What do you say to Shiloh Sanders after that ejection? Well, you can't throw punches in this league. I mean, that's inexcusable. They gonna get you every time. Gotta grow from that. And then what did you say to the officials after that? It looked like you were possibly trying to argue with talking about another play. But see, the problem isn't Shiloh getting flagged and tossed. It's the ref standing right there watching Davidson committing unnecessary roughness on Shiloh way after the play was over and no flag being thrown. And remember, this isn't the first time Shiloh's been punished heavily. Back at Colorado, he was ejected for targeting, which most fans felt was a terrible call. And now in the NFL, one bad preseason moment and Shiloh's out the door for defending himself. Meanwhile, Zach Davidson wasn't even whistled for a penalty, which clearly should have happened long before Shiloh even threw his punch. And get this, Davidson later denied provoking Shiloh and claimed Shiloh just got mad for getting blocked. And even just the way reporters asked Davidson about the incident and framed it as if he had no part in that ejection. Yeah, the whole thing is so unfair, and you don't even have to be a Shiloh Sanders fan to see it. To that moment with Shiloh where it felt like you kind of were just finishing your block through the play and he just felt some sort of way about it. Yeah. Something on the backside of Screens We Preach is the guy on the backside's making the touchdown block. I was just chasing the far deep TB and, trying to finish through the wind whistle, and he had a little bit more to say. Did you say to him you're too small? I didn't say anything. I may have gestured something, but if you get mad for getting blocked, I can't really control what he does. So, knowing all this, you really can't blame fans for saying the NFL is sabotaging Shiloh on purpose, because none of this is making any sense. One fan on X said very clearly a setup. The players were instructed to solicit an attack. The refs were instructed to wait for it. The ref watched the whole thing and only threw the flag once there was retaliation. And someone else wrote, "The league is conspiring against that family." And it really does feel that way because just days before this incident with Shiloh, his brother Shedeur was taken out of the Browns' preseason game against the Rams in the final 2 minutes. It would have been the perfect moment for Shedeur to show how he handles late-game pressure. But Coach Kevin Stefanski decided to pull Shedeur and replace him with Tyler Huntley. And now people are accusing Coach Stefanski of sabotaging Shedeur and claiming this is all part of a bigger plot against the Sanders family. Someone on X said Kevin Stefanski has pledged allegiance to Jim Crow to prove that Shedeur Sanders doesn't belong. Stefan's KKK is choosing to be bold about it too. And someone else added, "Man, they've been made their decision before they drafted him. Go to a better organization, Sanders, please." Now you may be thinking, wait, didn't other organizations pass on Shedeur multiple times? Well, here's where Eric Dickerson steps in with his claims that the NFL has been conspiring against the Sanders family from the jump. Dickerson claimed that he heard from a very reliable source at the NFL that the league directly told teams not to draft Shedeur because they wanted to make an example out of him. But what I heard from someone that's in the NFL, that the NFL told other, don't draft him. Do not draft him. We're going to make an example out of him, and this came from a very good source. A very good source. And he said that, I won't say who, somebody called the Cleveland Browns and said, don't do that. Draft him. Really? Yep, draft him. Don't do that. Because they weren't going to draft him either. They weren't going to draft him. And this isn't the first time we've heard this angle. Remember, Mike Florio also alluded to the NFL trying to humble Shedeur because he didn't bow down and kiss their ass. The fact that he shouldn't have been pick number 144, it's a subtle repudiation of the attitude that teams have when the draft rolls around. Yeah, that the players should all line up and bow down to the statue of the NFL draft. We're going to deify the draft because how dare you treat the process other than your lips on our ass. If you dare deviate from the process of your lips on our ass, you will pay for it, even if it hurts us. Because collectively and individually, we ignore the talent to send you, and you, a message so others will know when the time comes for the pre-draft process. Take your lips and put them on our ass, because that's why he fell. He treated it like he was being recruited, not like he was being interviewed. Well, sucks for the teams that allowed that to keep them from drafting a guy who clearly is more talented than pick number 144. Doesn't matter. It's talent. And that's the thing. People allowed all that other stuff to get in the way of the talent, and they want to send this kid a message because they don't want people to have power. So many of the threads, Chris, of all the stuff we're seeing now in the NFL is about power and about showing power to the players. The teams have the power, the league has the power, the players don't. When they try to show it, they're getting screwed. Now, to be fair, not all fans agree with this. Some are saying that Eric Dickerson is not a reliable source considering his own personal beef with the NFL. And then others are pointing out that Shedeur simply wasn't good enough, and there was no conspiracy against him. In fact, Daniel Kelly, a former NFL scout with the New York Jets, addressed this on X and even included a link to Shedeur's pre-drafting report. Kelly wrote in the caption, "I did the work on Shedeur Sanders pre-draft. I put an undraftable free agent grade on him. Bottom line, he wasn't good enough and he's not good enough. He didn't show the skill set or the mindset that's needed to transition to the NFL and be successful at the quarterback position. He hit his ceiling at Colorado. He's the most hesitant quarterback I've ever evaluated. He had more character red flags than any prospect I've ever evaluated. All the details, including all the game film evidence, the character stuff, all of it is in this pre-draft scouting report. And if you read the report, this is what it says about Shedeur. Tough, athletic, resilient, low-ceiling prospect with decent arm strength. Takes a while to get revved up in the games. Less confident against higher-ranked opponents. Goes into a shell. Couldn't speed up his process when necessary. Prone to fumbling snaps. Good behind the line of scrimmage mobility. Can reset the pocket. Eyes downfield. Poised. 1 to 2 reads. Inconsistent progressions. Tends to pat, lock, and release. Telegraphing the timing and ball location. Limited trust in receivers. Hesitation is ingrained in him. Questionable how well he sees the field. But some fans are still convinced that this isn't just about Shedeur not being good enough, and they're claiming the NFL clearly has an agenda against the Sanders family. And it looks like a lot of people believe this is tied to Deion, and the way he raised his sons to know their value. One fan commented, As a Black Marine Corps veteran and single father who raised the son from the South, for me it is a tale as old as time. It is a systemic epidemic of white America to take issue with any Black man who is present and active in their children's lives and shows them how to be confident and view themselves as equal to white men. It is clear to anyone at this point the obvious actions of implicit bias and microaggressions, along with the blind bias being used by the NFL to derail the success of these young kings. This is not new. History would definitely repeat itself again sooner than later. I would love to see accountability for their actions, but I won't hold my breath. Now, the good news is that Deion is not letting this get to him. When asked about Shiloh